baby. Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. This is Scotty. He's a baby. Isn't that right? You're a baby. You're a baby. You're a little baby and I love you. Mm. There you go. There you go. So I am making packer. My yarn that I dyed the other day is dry. And so I'm going to try to send everything out all at the same time. Sorry, I just determined to walk on my laptop still. Um, but the yarn is dry. I'm finishing the second packer of 4. So I'm hoping that I can get all that out and then just ship everything out at the same time, including the yarn that Amy won for the giveaway. So working on stuff. How is everyone today, this evening, whatever time it is for you? Hey, Bridget, welcome in. So I started updating, well, I updated uh, the Facebook group, the not Army of Weirdos, but the collaboration, the Cool Kids collaboration group on Facebook. I think I'm going to also move it or part of it over to Discord because I know a lot of us who are here on YouTube are, I know that it's kind of a weird disconnect between Facebook and YouTube sometimes. So, and making sure you see something on Facebook can be difficult. So I think that it might be good to bring it to Discord, even though I know that that's not as widely used as Facebook. It's hard because there's a lot of possible ways to interact with people, but I haven't quite figured out like the best way to interact and get the group going. Okay, so I need a little bit more fluff than I have, so I'm actually gonna get some polyfill real quick, and I will be right back. Ooh, almost tripped and bust my arms. Okay, and I'm back. Okay, for doing. Oh, can you see when I turn off my camera? I'm back. Don't worry. this. I feel like everyone in my apartment like right now. Went to a Christmas party tonight. Came home in a goofy mood. Well, that's good. I like that. I feel like sometimes Christmas parties can put me in a bad mood. So it's got me a good mood out of it. It was fun watching them all stealing gifts. Stealing gifts? What were they doing? So right now, I'm just working on the detailing at the end. There's a couple of things to do kind of right there at the end, just to make it look a little nicer, a little bit more complete. So I'm doing, I did one in one of the skin tone colors I have. I'm going to do two in this blue and one that I'm going to do. And these don't take that long. I just, with kind of everything going on with my mood and stuff lately, it's been hard to kind of get the ball rolling on these. Okay. And then the last detail is the tab. Footnote. I tell you, after working with the uh, arm that I did for the skin tone one, which was the willow cotton from, I bought it at Version House. I forgot what the name of the was, but it's like the willow cotton that they have. It's a line, and it's so nice. It's like doesn't split, silky soft, just like great cotton to use. And then going from that to dish cotton has just been a little bit less fun. I got spoiled. So I did a couple paintings last night. I finished up drying the yarn, um, and I'm pretty happy with how that turned out. It definitely turned out a lot better than the schemes that I did for the giveaway. So I think that it was a good call that I did what I did for the giveaway. And yeah, I think that. So I've been kind of thinking about how I want to potentially dye and continue to do other colorways if I'm going to continue dyeing yarn. If I want to try some different methods, um, it's it's an extremely um, the process of dyeing the yarn is really like physically taxing. Like it took me an hour to rinse four hanks of yarn. Like that's not sustainable. I gotta stand there the whole time, like back hunched, like in pain, um, to wash the yarn. And I um, don't really like that. Uh, so I'm trying to figure out ways I can do that, or get around that. But also, there's different things that if I was dyeing wool or some animal fiber, I wouldn't have to deal with. So I wouldn't have to deal with the because so two of the color ways that I want to do. So if I want to do a non-binary flag, if I want to do a trans-pride flag, those have distinct white sections in them, and keeping them white is going to be very difficult. And I'm trying to figure out how I could do that and not just kill my back in the process um, because it is such a um, extensive rinsing process. Also, I would like to use like less water because I use so much water to rinse out the cotton. Um, you basically have your sink at full blast for an hour, and that's for just four hanks. So it's not the most economical or eco-friendly um, process. So I've been thinking about a couple different ways to do it, and um, I'm just trying to think how it would work because um, and I talked some of these ideas out with Crystal, and so I think we have like some ideas that could possibly work, but still just not sure as much. So now I got all the details. So now I have the one of the components that I'm thinking about. Hold up. Where is my emotions back? There it is. So one of the things I was thinking about was um, uh, whether or not hey, lady, welcome in, was whether or not I could skip like if you've seen people dye wool, um, if in like big pots, get the dye warmed up because you need for acid dyes, and then they'll only dip a part of the into the water, right? Um, so I was like, well, what if I only did part of my first part of the process in dyeing cotton yarn is to soak it in soda ash. Hey, Bridget. Hey, Bridget. Yes. Yeah, I'm trying to make it more eco-friendly if it's possible. because it's cotton and the dyes that I use, um, I you have to rinse them out, and the amount of water that it takes to rinse the yarn is absurd. Like, I it took, like I said a little earlier, I don't know if you heard this part of it, but it took me an hour, like, actually a full hour, that's not exaggerating, like, to wash out 4 hanks of yarn. And that's like me having the sink at full, like, capacity, like, for an hour. Like, that's not I'm using a lot of water for that. And I would like to use less. But obviously I have to get the water, I mean, get the dye out. Um, so, so Crystal and I talked about doing like doing it in my bathtub, so that I could fill it up a certain amount, or even like in a fish pot, and I could fill it up. And okay, yeah, okay, okay, okay. Um, and I could rinse it out like that and not have to use like more and more and more and more water. Um, so um, the issue is color bleeding. That I get worried about is the colors bleeding into each other if they're just I they have a ton of dye in them, and then initially I just right away put them into um, a, a bathtub with themselves. So all of the distinct colors that I'm trying to get, um, I feel like the water between the colors might bleed into each other a lot more. So my dyes are not heat reactive, so I don't need heat, and um, I I also I don't think I could get actually I don't think I could actually get the dyes that I don't think I could get any results that I want with natural dyes or with I think natural dyes are pretty, but for the just like like um, for the specific projects that I want to make, what I want to dye yarn for, I don't think I could do that with natural dyes. Um, and that whole process is just completely different from doing something um, like dyeing a natural plant fiber. You know what I mean? Using sticks to the yarn out the bleeding. See, that's what happens if I'm understanding what you're saying. That's what happens when people dye um, heat reactive, like with animal protein fibers. Like if you're dyeing wool and you pour your dye onto it, it's going to attach to the wool, and it's going to all of that dye is going to get used up, and it's not going to attach to anything else. Whereas I'm basically using glorified food coloring, and so it's going to get kind of on everything. Um, and so I want to be able to. So it's just it's apples and oranges almost to compare the two different types of dyeing methods, because they they're just so different. So there is a lot of bleeding when it comes to this dye. It's nothing like a dye bath that you would get, or that you would do for the heat reactive um, uh, dyes. Those are a different animal. Very cool, and I think they're so cool to do, like to look at. But um, like cotton is specifically what I want to dye, um, and I want to dye it. I started dyeing it for packers and stuff like that, and for warmer weather things because I just didn't feel like I could find those colorways. Use a time set rather than heat. Takes longer. Do you mean you like dye it and then you like let it set? Because I dye mine and I let it set for 24 hours, um, but I still feel like is that enough time to not have it bleed, especially if I have a white section. Now, one of the ideas I had was to not put was to leave out a section that would be white from when I soak it in the soda ash. So soda ash is a dye fixer, um, and that would uh, uh, that would make the dye wash off of the yarn easier, so it wouldn't stick into the yarn. It wouldn't stick to hold to the yarn fibers as much, but it can still dye the yarn. So um, I don't know if it would be enough to keep those sections white. The white, the ones with the white sections are going to be difficult, I think, to kind of figure out how to dye them like I want to. In bags with dye, put them in the porch. Yeah. Oh, so you're doing like solid colors? I let mine sit on a drying rack for like in my bathtub for a day, and then come back and rinse them out. There has to be a better way to rinse them out because it's just not reasonable, especially if I want to make more than 3 skeins like a year. Um, hey, Scotty. Hey, Scotty. You need a crochet hook up your butt. Sometimes I kink or otherwise not let all the yarn in the dye for other reasons. Okay. Yeah, because doing the distinct sections when you're so close to each other, um, the like the overlap and the blend is like bound to happen. And the thing is, like, I really don't know what I'm doing. Like, I just have to like specify that I don't know what I'm doing, and I'm just making it up as I go. Um, and like it's cool learning, but it's also like there's a lot of stuff that I feel like the reason why, because like I would have bought cotton that was this color before I dyed it any day of the week, um, especially like early on. So like um, I just wish that don't travel in the butthole, man. Um, Sorry, I forgot what I was gonna say. I just like I couldn't find it, and so finding videos on the internet about how to do certain things, I haven't been able to find. So it's a lot of like well, let's, try this because like I can't find videos of other people doing it, and I feel like that's kind of been made things more difficult because like I can find videos on how to I can find videos on how to do that. But like to make like the amount of colors that I have for the uh, for the rainbow yarn, I have six distinct colors in 12 distinct sections. And they have to be able to dye and dry and not get too cross contaminated so that you can still see each color in the section. And that's really difficult when you're dealing with something that like only is like this big. And then the other colors I want to dye have white sections. And so like originally it started where it was like I can't even buy like yarn that's prepped for dyeing. I like because I use value yarn from like I use like sugar and cream because if I'm using my if someone wants a value yarn because I need it to be white rather than this like more natural cotton color because I want my white as brilliant as possible. But that like, even that is like a pain in the ass. So it's just like I feel like I'm I'm doing things the most complicated way, but this is what I wanted to, you know, this is the yarn that I wanted to be able to find, but I just don't know how I'm going to make it sustainable to produce in any capacity because it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work, and I don't know anyone who does a lot of cotton. I remember when I first thought about dyeing cotton, I talked to Daniel um, of Poplar Yarns, and he was like, a lot of people don't buy cotton because it's like the financially not very lucrative, which like that's the truth. Like people don't want to spend a bunch of money on cheap cotton, even though it's like filler. Um, and then it's so much work, like all the other things that I said too. So I don't know. I'm just kind of complaining, I guess, at this point. Sorry about that. I didn't mean for it to be just me complaining. Just trying to figure out how to do it. Now it's time to trim the edges, and we have a pattern. Packer. Now, like I do watch a lot of acid dye videos from people who are really good at dyeing. Like I watch like candidates and stuff like that. Um, but so I feel like I'm trying to like get some ideas, but it's again I'm just trying to like apply it to the process of dyeing cotton. Um, and oh, but Bridget, so when you um when you rinse the dye from your cotton, is like how long does it take for you to like have it? Um, like how long are you rinsing your yarn for? Because like, am I the only one that takes that long? Because like some of the colors, like the red and the purple, especially, like they take so long to rinse out. It's, it's just I'm gonna be there for also been experimenting with some different concentrations of dyes, which I haven't done yet. I've been doing it very like by the you don't lose any dye from yarn. Oh, okay. With the cotton, that's crazy. Now I know that I do load up my yarn with extra dye because I don't want to miss any spots. So I'll be like, see, I am heavy-handed because I don't want to miss any spots that I can't see. So I'll put extra dye in that spot. Um, and cotton is so absorbent, um, so it doesn't necessarily reach into all the spots if you don't. If I found that if I don't like really load it up, I might miss a spot, or it might not be as pigmented because it just kind of got touched by the dye rather than like fully soaked and like the pigmentation's not as even as it is in other spots. So I do load up my dye, but only because I found that if I don't, I see it in my yarn. I see, like when I did the giveaway yarn, I can see the spots where I didn't have as much dye, and I don't like that. As I want my yarn to be even, and maybe that's not the right mentality to go. Is it like a brain thing? Like, do I not need to be doing that? Um, because I because yeah, I can distinctly see in certain colors where I if I didn't look it up, it was just kind of like okay, it's a tinted this color rather than like fully being coated by it. Okay, so I'm gonna do another one this color, Crystal just sent me a video about dyeing cotton, about how long is enough. She knows me so. I heard all you like. You're not wrong. I'm not right. Just different styles. How much time is enough without going over? Okay, I appreciate that. Yeah, I like I just I know that it's not like how I'm doing it now is not sustainable for me to do it multiple times in the future. So I'm trying to think ahead as to how I can streamline the process. But there's so much that I don't know, and it feels like dyeing yarn should be simpler. But every time I get posed with like a alternative or like a problem, I just get so like hung up on things, you know? I should watch more. You know what I should do? I should watch more tie-dye videos because that's essentially what I'm doing. I'm using 100% cotton and I'm using tie-dye yarns and tie-dye. It's chemistry. Nothing about chemistry is easy. True. Yeah, it's chemistry and it's art, right? But I should watch more tie-dye videos because there's got to be a way that they're doing it where they're not bleeding into white sections because I've seen a bunch of tie-dye where they maintain a lot of purposefully white sections, like undyed sections, right? And um, then uh, uh, and see how long. I know that one thing you can do with tie dye that's a lot harder with yarn is to be able to just like put it in the washing machine. Um, and I know some people like do like the pantyhose like in the washing machine trick, but with yarn, but I um, can't do that based on my situation. Damn, how did I do this? What the fuck? I didn't make stuff. Good. Hello, everyone. Welcome in. Just trying to figure out how to. I love chemnits. Yeah, yeah. I haven't seen her dye any cotton or like do any like natural fiber, but maybe I just haven't looked for it. I know I've watched a lot of her videos that she's done on like dyeing wool and stuff like that, and those are always like really cool to watch. I do watch a lot of her videos, and then what is that other? There's that yarn shop in Canada. It's like the Rocky Mountain something. I think it's like some other mountain in the name. But yeah, Chemnitz. Crazy. Like wool dyes so differently. Like how does that even happen? Like the way it like some like the speed at which stuff strikes and like all of the stuff like whoa. And to be able to make, like um consistent yarn uh out of it is just insane to me. Love those videos. They're so fun to watch. Wow, this is the sloppiest machine you could. Okay, I'm just gonna start over. This is being. I'm like, Yeah, but I'll figure it out. I'll try to keep you all in the loop. And when I'm trying these dyeing experiments, I will try to bring you along for the ride because, you know, it'll still be fun. I mean, it's not like um, I'm using anything that's gonna like ruin the yarn. It just might not be what I want or expect, and that's fine. You know, it's that's all part of like the learning process. Um, you know, like so we'll see how we'll see how that goes. I mean, what's the I don't want to say what's the worst can happen because I can just see like my whole apartment and like the shared space of the apartment just be covered top to bottom in dye. It's so messy. It's such a messy process. That was like easily the least messy time I've dyed uh, yarn ever, that I showed you all the other day. And I think that like it's good that I have like more and more practice on like how to like prep everything and like take down everything so that it doesn't end up being like a nightmare. Um, but I mean, I like the first time I ever dyed yarn, it was all over my parents' place, and I felt horrible. It was like, and like I mentioned in the video, I was like, if you have grout, like cover it because this stuff will find your grout. Oh, nice. That sounds fun. Well, thanks for hanging out, Bridget. I really appreciate that, Bridget. And I hope I seem grateful. Like I really hope that I don't seem ungrateful for what you shared with me. I get stuck in my like own head about certain things like this, and sometimes I'm afraid that I don't come off as grateful for the advice. So like I want you to know that I really am grateful. Um, and I hope you have fun with PS4. Also, what PS4? I've been talking about like what I if I want to ask my parents anything for Christmas, and I'm gonna come up with a couple different ideas. And for a while, I was wanting a system, and then I was like, maybe I want like uh, what's that? A Switch, and that would be fun to have a Switch. And then right now, I'm like thinking like, what if I got like an Oculus? I play Beat Saber. That'd be cool. Because that seems like it would also be good for like cardio. Um, Hogwarts Legacy. Well, have fun with that. I will leave. I will. So, um, but but yeah. I mean, I hope if you're having fun with it, that's important. So, I yeah. But right now, I'm like, maybe wouldn't an Oculus be fun? Um, but also, I'm like, how would I? I feel like it would really hurt my eyes, and I don't know if you can wear glasses with them. I'm pretty sure you can't. So I don't. But anyways, those are the things that I'm thinking about. Like, wouldn't that be fun just to like have something totally different? Uh, but I don't know. We'll see. I'm not even sure if I'm going back to North Carolina for the holidays. So we'll see. Tickets are so expensive. I looked at tickets home and I looked at different dates. And like, first of all, it's a fucking lie when they're like, tickets start at this, and then you start looking at like round trip tickets, and like one way, it's like it starts out at the price that they gave you, and then the to get back, it's like $200 more from this like initial price that they quoted you, and I can't. It makes me infuriatingly mad. I'm just like, you are a liar. You lied to me. Like, I think it would be like $450 or something if I used the cheapest other than Frontier. And like, I'm gonna be honest, like, and this is no judgment at all to anyone who flies Frontier, but Frontier scares the shit out of me because um, I think that the promise of having your plane fly to a place and like land with all the parts that it lifted off with is like a bare minimum. Something. And like I know that other airplanes and airlines have had issues as well, but it seems a lot more likely on Frontier in my brain. So I'm just, it makes me nervous. It makes me nervous. I gotta admit. I know, right? It's like where have we gotten to as a people where like because like a lot of people are like, "When you get what you pay for if you fly Frontier and your wing falls off," and they're like, "Oh, you get what you pay for." It's like, I feel like that's not what you pay for. You paid to land with the same like essential parts that you lifted up with. But you know, I mean, that was their thing from the beginning. I mean, they were very honest about what they were doing. It's not like they weren't shaky about it, to my knowledge. Whereas other airlines were. Um, so at least they're honest about things, but it makes me nervous. And then I was like, because of like a little depressive spell, I was thinking about going home for an extended period of time, not like forever, but like you know, like longer than like 3 days, um, and so I was like, okay, it might be worth it to just like bring Scotty along, which Scotty's a nervous guy, anyways, aren't you, baby? And so like thinking about how I would bring a nervous cat along with me through this whole process and seeing how much that was um, and just everything like that. Plus, I was already like in a bad mood, like and like a depressed state. So it's just like I don't know how I'm gonna be able to do this with my cat. Um, and uh, uh, luckily, like I'm in a better like mood right now, so like, that doesn't seem like it's as necessary. When I move back home eventually, whenever that'll be, like that'll be the choice that we do then. That'll be how we fly then. But because like I've seen other I've seen other like people who like drive across the country or like something like that, and it's just like that's just not going to be feasible for Scotty. He's just too much of a scaredy cat. So so I don't want to have to subject him to that more than I have to. Um, and uh, but luckily there's this service called Rover, and people basically can come. You can leave your pet with them for a certain number of days, however you you request. They can come to your place and check on your pet, which for Scotty that would be ideal. And again, I don't have anything on the books right now as far as I mean, I'm just gonna kind of wait to see how things shake out. Um, but uh, like for someone to come see and Scotty and feed him and change his litter box and all that stuff, like that would be ideal. To not take him out of space because I don't know if you all remember when Scotty did not leave from under my bed for 5 days or so. And when he started to, he was only eating at night when I was asleep and it was dark. So he didn't have to like, worry about me. And it took a long time to warm up. Like he took months to warm up to like being his like personality now. It wasn't until I had my trip to North Carolina and came back that Scott was kind of fully, fully in on our relationship. So I don't want to, you know, I'm trying to disrupt his life as little as possible. Sensitive boy, poor little baby. But yeah, we pay them like a flat fee um, a day, um, and then this person will come and check on your pet and feed them, spend some time with them, um, things like that. So I've used their services once before when they were splitting my apartment and all the apartments here for legitimate pesticides. And so we needed to be out of the apartment for 3 hours, and like I couldn't just like get on the bus with Scotty and like ride around town with him because that would have been horrifying for him. Um, and also, it was very stressful for me. I was kind of losing it. So, like, luckily, I was able to find someone who could watch him for a couple hours, and she was wonderful. So I would try to skip, when it's time to get Scotty, someone to watch Scotty. Try to get her time just 'cause she was really nice. So it's a cool service, and I didn't really know anything about it before, like all of that. Uh, I said Terminator. That's what it's called. That's not what it's called, right? Right? I don't know. Um, like the pesticide guy. Before he came, and I was looking at like, what do I do with my cat? And someone had, and then someone was like, I use this service, and I was really happy with. I know I think I mentioned it before, but they just upped my dose of lithium, and I just like kind of had a moment where I realized that some of the earlier side effects that I had when it first started have gone away. Um, or like yeah, the side effects have gone away. I was like, oh, that's good to know because I was a little worried about them. Like I was having like lights in my like periphery, or like like flashing lights, or like shadows, which made me like kind of like really nervous and just because I'm an anxious person. I have an anxiety disorder. Like that's those. Well, the shadow thing made me nervous, and the lights were like, okay, this is weird. And this is probably like a side effect of the medication. And I was trying to figure out if this was something I should talk to my doctor about, or this is just like, hey, first couple days of the med increase, that's what you might experience, and then it goes away. Um, so I just kind of had a moment where I was like, oh, okay, I haven't really been experiencing that anymore. Okay, that's good. So you just saw that happen in real time. That's cool. So this is like kind of well, this is like lending itself to further conversation about what. But for those of you who have like medical alert or keep medical information on you so that people can find it if you're found like unresponsive or like whatever, um, how do you keep your like medical alert or like medical information available for other people, for like professionals to find. Um, because I used to have bracelet that had a QR code, and when you click the QR code, it would take you to like a website, and I could edit all the stuff. I could edit like my medication and stuff like that. I could put like my emergency contact and all of this stuff. Uh, but when I went to North Carolina, my parents found it, but it had been scratched at the QR code. Not like a purposeful scratch, just like an accidental scratch. Um, and the QR code was no longer able to be read, so I was like, I can't use it. But I know some people have it on their phone. If someone just finds your phone with you, they can get your medical info. That always makes me like pretty nervous because I mean, I guess if it's on your wrist, it's vulnerable. Um, but like my phone has a password so that people can just get into it. Um, so it would have to be something that would be and like I know that there are ways to have like medical information before so that people wouldn't need to enter your password. Um, I'm just curious, what do you have? If anyone has some kind of like medical something like that, medical card like that, or whatever, what do you use? The reason I'm asking that, so I'm in like a bipolar group, and I post there and stuff like that. I just got like a random thought the other day where, because I had watched something had come up on my feed about like organ donation, and I am like a registered organ donor, and I had registered when I was 16, right? And I had already been diagnosed by that time, and I was on medication, but I didn't think about it. Um, and like really, like all they do is ask you, like, do you want to be an organ donor? And you're just like, check yes. Like you don't. When I did it, they didn't ask me any details, right? And so I started to wonder, I was like, with all of the medications that I'm on, can I still donate organs? Or like, are they gonna like if they find me not a place where I can tell them I'm on these things, like it hurts someone if they use my organs, um, you know, and I would have been able to tell them anyways. So I asked that in the group, and a lot of people had some really cool information, um, which I found really valuable because apparently like, they do a lot of testing, which I knew that they did testing, but I didn't know the extent of it. I felt that they can test for every single medication in the world. Um, and, uh, but I know that people who are on like lithium, for example, like you can't get overcoming, you know, and apparently like it's a whole different like list of things about the health of that organ than like other things. So it's more about like how healthy that organ is. So uh, I could still be an organ donor as long as those organs that they're trying to get are healthy, even on medication that you know you know shouldn't be in other people's bodies. um, but it was really cool to learn about. So that's part of the reason why I'm like, it would be, hey Chris, welcome in. So that's why I asked if you do have like a medical alert or something like that, where you want to have um, uh, your medical information available to anyone, to a medical professional who finds you, no matter what state you're in. Because like for me, like not only is it like not being conscious, but it could be like me being manic and me not being able to answer those questions and me being in like a state, you know? So I like the wristband. Um, and uh, that was cool to be able to like have that website that I could just put in all of my medical information. You have to talk a bit louder. I think noise canceling is coming out. I always wonder what so like I don't have noise canceling. But what is interesting is that I've been trying to record things on my camera, but it's a separate app on my laptop, and my audio has like not been working. So I don't know what's going on with my audio. Um, I'm looking at something now. Anyone muted? Better? Can you can you all hear me now? Okay. Yeah. Whenever I click something in my like microphone settings, it automatically changed my restream, and I didn't realize that it changed. So thank you all for helping out. Yeah, let me know. I will always I'll try. Back to looking doing. I was like during doing so videos. Oh yeah, keep them busy. Cool. Thank you all. Thank you all for being patient with me, trying to figure that one out. So today, so uh, I'll catch you up. Um, my yarn is finished drawing, the one that I dyed the other day. Um, and I spent like probably the first 30, 45 minutes of this live talking about ways that I can improve the process, or just trying to figure out ways because I don't think I figured out anything. Um, and Bridget was trying to be helpful, but I just my brain's just like I don't know. I don't know if there's an easier way. I'm convinced like with the colorways that I'm doing and how I'm doing them, I don't know if there's an easy way. Um, I'm hoping because the rinsing process of the yarn is insane. It's insane. Um, and uh, then so I have four hanks of yarn. Three of them are for someone who ordered through my Etsy, and it's the value yarn. So it's peaches and cream or sugar and cream yarn in 100-gram hanks. And then I did two pictures. I painted pictures last night. It was fun. I'm trying to capture Scotty's essence in a picture. So I'll get that for you real quick. So this is what I have so far. I don't know. Oh no. I feel like it's kind of terrible. It's so hard to draw fur. I'm bad at drawing animals. I'm bad at like, and Scotty's all black, so it's like, how do you get the depth and dimension of his deep dark silky coat? I don't know. And then I don't know. So I tried, and then his eyes are like looks angry, but he's also very lovable. So how do you get the eyes to tell that story? And then this is something I did. I'm like, because I was hoping to somehow be able to manipulate this into a design and make it cool on a shirt. I'm not quite sure about it yet. I think it's got I think it's got vibe potential, but I don't know if that's all it's got. And then I have four patent orders outstanding. I finished the second one a little bit earlier, starting the third one now, and um, and then I also have to finish the little sock booty things. Looks like, what do you mean no treat? Funnily enough, Scotty does not like treats. Scotty hates treats. I've not found a treat that Scotty could give a flying fuck about. Scotty's not food motivated, and that is very weird. I love you, but I've never had a cat, an animal that that didn't care about food. And so this is more like when I like wake him up to tell him I love him and kiss him on his fur, smell him. He smells like a kitty cat. But he kind of just looks kind of like mangy. Like I couldn't get his like fluffy, like majestic fur. I just kind of got this like mangy, like street cat look. Nothing wrong with street cats, but that's kind of what it's giving. It's not giving I am a silky majestic beast. So oh, I wouldn't even say beast. I had like a cockroach. Um, Scotty was hunting, and I pulled out my camera because I knew exactly how this was gonna go. I did kill it, so don't worry, because those are gross. Cockroaches are gross. But Scotty is like, and then he like stretches out beside it. I'm like, Scotty, what are you doing? And then he like touches it, boops it off the wall, and then he's like, okay, like you are a terrible hunter, my guy. He loves you for you and not your treats. Yes, yes, I will take it as that. That's a great attitude. I like that. Um, so, uh, so yeah, so those are the things I am working on. I might finish this row of the Packard and move over to the slippers, so at least I can just get those done. Um, but yeah, so I've been more productive. Nice. Reading. He's a sweet boy. He's a lover, not a fighter. Even when things ought be fought, frankly. Like, please fight the cockroaches for me, Scotty. But no, he's just too sweet. I raised a sweet boy. So I'm gonna put this away for a second. So if you didn't get to see what it looks like, this is what the finished slipper looks like. I could have, like, aesthetically, my brain wanted to go up higher for this strip of, oh my gosh, it's so loud. Um, Thank you, Chris. I've never seen Red Dwarf. Um, is it good? Should I watch it? Um, but yeah, so essentially, I thought it would balance the amount of sheer amount of leg out to put more meat in the toe and the sock. For sizing reasons, I only needed this much length in the blue in the toe, so I left it like that. Without having to fit, anything else. And then for this, because this goes up on the calf can start to get really large, or like not, the calf gets significantly bigger than the ankle. So I didn't want it to go too big, or like too high to where it didn't fit over the calf. So that's why I kept it fairly short. Um, but I'm doing this side now, and I don't have my hook in here, so I've got to figure out what hook says. Oh, I'm using a 4. So no one has yet guessed who this is for, which I think maybe be a good sign. I don't know. Um, but yes, this is going to be a if it fits them, and I hope they like it. Someone who like would love that for sure. Oh my gosh, wouldn't it be cool with like a spider web, or just a spider right here at the intersection? It's definitely Spider-Man colors. These are colors that I know are this person's favorite colors. Um, I didn't know what shade of these colors they liked. I know they like red, and I know they like blue. So I was like, okay, I'm just gonna go with really red and really blue. Yep, go big or go home. Exactly. Yeah. I mean anything that's not really red, I consider to be, like, some well, but yeah, with blue, I was like, I don't know, and I don't have that many blues either. I mean, I have a light blue from my Pride cardigan, but I don't feel like that would look kind of weird with this. This is the Spider-Man color, though. I like that. I'm just gonna see Spider-Man when I work on this. Which this just needs a couple rows of the front and back loop, I'm not front loop, front post and back post double crochet, and that's gonna create the loop. Also, if this happens to be too small for even where it is on the calf now, they can fold it over. That's what I was thinking. So it could be look more like this or something. I might actually send it to them with it bent over or like folded over. I kind of like the way that that looks better. Yeah, I okay, okay. And I think I did about 5 rounds of this on the other. Yeah, okay. Hey, welcome in. Yeah, I like the folded over look because to me, like the so gigantic. Yeah, I feel like it's a little bit proportionate looking. I'm still very like curious as to how comfortable the heel is going to be because it's so pointy, and that's not how pointy human heels tend to be. But if their heel's not going all the way back, then I don't know if it will matter. I just using someone else's pattern, so we'll see. Exactly. I Yeah, the first time I saw it, um, someone had made a stocking out of Christmas stocking, and I was like, "That's such a good idea." And then I saw, a couple of stockings, and then I saw someone make this type of slipper out of it, and I was like, "It's a shape that I already know how to do." So it's not like the pattern is particularly difficult, after you know? And with all of the modifications, like, a lot of people have done hex cardigans, but they've done them using stitches other than the granny stitch. So you could do this in another stitch and create some really cool designs. And I really love to see that. Hey Rachel, welcome in. I am hopefully gonna finish this little sock booty thing. Working on finishing some designs and some stuff. I've been watching an unholy amount of Star Trek Discovery. And you know who's ashamed of it? Not this guy. Because I love Star Trek. And Star Trek Discovery, like, of everything I've seen um, in Star Trek universe, right? Because there's a lot of stuff that I haven't touched yet that I want to, like lower decks and stuff like that, Section 31, stuff like that. But of everything I've seen, like Discovery really encapsulates all of these, all of the good things about Star Trek as a show, as a series, as a, like everything. It's so good. It's so good, and it has so many references that if you've seen the original series and things like that, that you know, and if you haven't seen, um, if you haven't seen them, then you're still gonna have a great time. It's so good, and the cast of characters is so beautiful. Like it's a great show. If you I've been watching so much, if it's uncomfortable, you could deliberately offset one side, fold it over, and fasten some wooden. Hmm. Yeah, I feel like I might give too much away, but if I say too much, but if this is a problem, first of all, this is a gift, and if the person doesn't like my gift, like first of all, I know that they know my intentions are good and noble, giving this to them. So if they don't like them, they don't have to wear them. I'm not going to force them. I couldn't even, I couldn't force that even if I wanted to. But if they did want to wear them, but they weren't comfortable, they do know someone who could make them more comfortable. I think. So now I was really concerned um, how to make the bottom as comfortable as possible because the seam goes directly in the middle of the foot. Um, so I did this like I did the seam. I think what she was saying in the video, I tried to do that seam, and I really love the way it looks. It's really nice looking. Um, but I felt like it was a little bit too chunky to go under the foot. So I did the back with the seam like that, and then hand sewed and mattress stitched the bottom of the foot so that there's really no height difference between that and what's around it. Um, and you feel a lot better about someone walking on this potentially. Although they might be really slippery to walk around in. Um, so I'm not going to put anything on them to make them less slippery because because this person would want to have them in shoes and stuff. No, that who would want this in a shoe? That'd be weird. I don't know. I'm just gonna kind of leave it like it is. Thank you, Chris. And that was my knee just popping away. Thanks, Rachel. I hope you're doing okay too. Some plastic and baby oil and just turn that slipperiness into a win. I don't know. In this day and age, I think sending baby oil sends the wrong message. Um, uh, I might put it as a suggestion if they would like to. But I'm not gonna be a participant in the baby oiling of anyone else. Oh, that's great. That's a nice one. Yeah. Yeah. B- BYOBO. Bring your own baby oil. You started it. That's all I'm saying. I'm not here to try to, you know, play the blame game, but you started it. My wrist gets so cracky when I do front loop and back loop. Not front post and back post. It's like the amount of like extra, I guess, torque, whatever, that I need to get into space I need to put my hook into. Just goes, no, no, we're not. We are not. I haven't watched that documentary or what series. I'm planning to. I hear enough from what everyone else is telling me that I don't feel like I need to, but that's too much. Also, so I set up the top of the video. So if you're in the Facebook group to do the collaborations and the pattern reading and all that stuff, so basically Halloween 2.0, where it's like ongoing, where we write and put things out, people test our patterns, all that shit. Um, so I have that Facebook group, and I have that kind of like going into like slow but still going pace right now. And I think I'm going to start putting some stuff in the Discord. So there'll be a tab in the Discord um, about that. Participate, but on Facebook or um, you know, find it easier to use Discord. Just because um, I feel like things are so easy to miss when someone posts in a group and it's on Facebook. It's so easy to light blink. Or was that just me? Did I just blink too much? Uh, but I feel like it's easy to miss things on Facebook. So I think having it on Discord would be a little bit easier. Um, so I'm going to think I'm going to start putting stuff there as well. And at first, it might just be kind of copies of what I put on Facebook. Um, but if anyone wants to participate in that, um, you know, start writing or even just testing patterns, like that's super helpful for people. Um, and, you know, people always, it is nice to have kind of to know that you'll have a built-in set of eyes on it, um, so that you can kind of get some of the kinks out of whatever you're designing. Okay, I think this is the same thing, but let's see. Mhm. Okay, so now I have 3 ends of some in, and then we're done with I don't know what this was. A for being I know, right? Sometimes I feel like I have to get on here, otherwise I'm not gonna be productive. It's just how my brain works. That dopamine reward. Speaking of dopamine reward, um, they're still not. They're still like hesitant coming back on my ADHD meds, and I'm like, I feel like, I mean, at least with this doctor, I feel like they're like trying to withhold it from me. What I felt like with my past doctor, which he just was like, they didn't want to write any prescription that could even remotely like get him in trouble. So basically, no like controlled substances. But the thing is, it's like that didn't make me stop needing him. And he didn't care to hear that. He also didn't care to be like, "Hey, I can't do this because of X, Y, or Z. But if you need this, which I think you might, go see another doctor." He was just like, basically, I felt like totally trapped with that doctor. It was honestly like I've had a lot of bad doctors, and he was bad for a different reason than some of my other doctors. But I feel like I don't think I've ever felt as trapped and as hopeless about my medical care as I did with him. And I think that's a lot because I've had, you know, almost 2 decades of different doctors of various, you know, methodologies and practices and all this stuff. And he was by far, he just, he made it seem like it was like my fault for being sick and needing these meds. Not a big fan. Not a big fan at all. So yeah, so this doctor just want to make sure that you're like fully recovered from this manic episode, and like that's a big difference from like from what he was doing. So yeah, I my problem is that my the thing now is that because I'm on Medicare, I don't have a wealth of options for good doctors, um, and also a lot of, I mean, because psychs are super overwhelmed in their caseloads right now. People who are not as difficult in treatment as I am are like those are the people who are getting more like it's the same amount. I get the same amount of time as someone who needs a like routine like, checkup, basically for one psychoactive drug, and I'm bipolar, and my bipolar is not the most well maintained, relatively, it's relatively maintained. times gotten better, but, like, I still have to go in very frequently. They'll give me, like, a 20-minute slot with someone like that, and it's like, I can't even begin to tell you with me in 20 minutes. So, like, I need at least that's the amount of time 2 patients, and they're not charging me the amount of 2 patients usually because they just, like, have, like, the like, one block visit of 30 minutes, and then they run over online, but they don't block me for 45 minutes. So, like, they really do people who have severe mental illnesses a disservice, but the system is stacked against us and the doctors who are trying to help, so, like, it doesn't make it any more fun. Now, if I have options to not see bad doctors, I would say that's preferable. And sometimes you get with what options you have or not. But yeah, it's also like how my psychologist is right now. It's like Medicare doesn't pay hardly anything for psychologists. And just like every profession, you want to be paid on time. So I've had a super hard time finding anyone who will even like respond to emails and stuff like that. Some bullshit. Okay, so two is done. Make sure these are really sewn up nicely because they're going on the foot. I imagine that they'll be washed way more than anything like a cardigan or something like that would. So, trying to make sure that these are nice and sewn up. Yeah, square feet. I had 2 things done and 1 live. Nice. Yeah. Granted, 1 was, like, basically done, I just needed to do details, and, I mean, this was too, so but who cares? 2 things done. Ends are tricky, they always find a way. Yeah, I the first to admit I'm not the best. Like, I don't mind sewing in ends, but I'm just not great at, like, at them not popping up a little bit. But honestly, you know, I've just come to accept that. You know, I've tried things like like, TL Yarn Crafts, her mom, Tony's mom, how she used, fabric glue, I think. I've tried tricks like that. They haven't worked for me. I haven't found anything that's been like the end all be all. I think that if I used more natural fibers, fabric glue might work a little bit better, but because I use a lot of acrylic, don't I just haven't had the same luck. So 2 more things than I did an entire day. That's me pretty much every day. I do try to do the 3, um, passes through things, like the back, forth, like, you know, doing things one direction, going back, and then try to do that because I heard that that's the best way to keep your end from going. I've never had, I don't think I've ever had an end come out completely, but um, just the end, like the tips of it. Oh yeah, especially with the cotton and the packers. I'm like, this is just I'm just buying time until this comes out more, as far as I'm concerned. Food reviews. Yeah, I something where someone had something about was like according to physics. That's the best way to do it. Um, so, but I didn't watch the video because I was like, I honestly looked at the title of this video and it confused me. So I don't need to do anything more. Okay, so these are done. Christmas present slash other timing present for this person. And yeah, yes, cool. I'm like, yes, all the scissors. Yeah, crazy person. We could do a little something for them, but I feel like there's a possibility that it'll get damaged or something. I don't know what I would paint. What would I paint? Yes. See, I've always but then when you stretch it just like a little bit more or it relaxes, then sometimes it's like it's like a little bit too much, and then it pops out. And I don't, honestly, the thing is, this is handmade. If a little end pops out, that's just proof this is handmade. It's not made by a machine, and you know, suck it. Just like anyone who cares about that. Okay, yeah, a little pink. Nice. I don't know what to Now, I could tell you all exactly who this is for, and you could help me think of something. Even though you're like, you probably like you literally have two more orders. Why are you putting something in front of us? But this is the kind of person I am. I'm like, I can take things down, let's add one more thing to the plate. Doesn't make any sense, okay? I know it doesn't make sense. I wanted to make something that's like a little postcard size. I'm not giving them this picture of Scotty because I'm going to try to make this work. And maybe I've been wanting to like paint something and have like a T-shirt or something. So that's what I'm. Oh, uh, speaking of things that go on T-shirts, so I've been mentioning kind of like here and there, like the idea of like merch or whatever. And so Shopify, in theory, you can have a company that does drop shipping that will you can order from. And so you order. Uh, I input a design if you were ordering from, and then you can order it from Shopify, and then Shopify tells this company to, or this company knows to make this item, and then they send it to you directly. So I never have any inventory, anything other than getting a design to them, right? So there's a couple things I like about that, and a couple things that I feel like are like less personal about it, and also I'm still having some trouble with Shopify. Just like knowing how to use it because I just think I need some help. I need some help with. Um, but I saw this thing about like making your own stamp and like stamping designs and stuff into like for different things like canvas bags, shirts, whatever. And I was like, well, that would be a lot more. Look up the feedback comes back on you. Yeah, and so that was one of the things where I was like, and also knew that I know that Trump has a up and down reputation. Up and down, that's not right. Questionable, maybe I don't know. Reputation for some, and like, they would also take a big portion of like how much things cost. All that. So, um, but I mean, I could also be like, it's through this company, so you know, I don't know. So I saw this thing where you can make your own stamp, and then so every time an order came in, I would do it myself and stamp the shirt or whatever it is. And then there's also like I could get like iron on like vinyl printouts and like iron them on myself um, for any size. Um, so like, do any of those like if you think you might want something that says like weirdo or like has like the drippy smiley face on it or anything like that, do any one of those sound better than another? Is it more about like price or is it about it being made by me? Does anyone care? Uh, Let me know because like I that would be something that's something that I'm curious about. Um, Double drop shippers. You order from them, they order from the drop shipper in China. Yeah, see, that's and I had yeah, I also had um I know that in terms of like people like Temu and stuff like that, like the drop shipping, and like how like inefficient like uh, in like an eco-friendly way it is, um, and being eco-friendly. And I'm really starting to think about a lot of those things lately, where I'm trying to think about what is not only inexpensive, but what is also like not just like horrible for the planet. Which these are things that I never really considered before, because cheap was always better for me. And I'm trying to think more about like, well, what's like like long term, like better for everybody type thing. So that's kind of where my okay. What should I paint you? I'm gonna go look on their Facebook page and see if I'm inspired by anything. Um, ordered thousands and thousands of things and never had any. Mm-hmm. And it's like if I'm doing a T-shirt, so the company that like that the company that has the app on Shopify called uh, something I don't know whatever, and so they have like a base cost for a shirt or whatever, and then you can um, you can offer it in a certain number of sizes and a certain number of um, colors and things like that. And uh, like honestly, like the prices are at that level are pretty comparable to like something at Walmart, like for t-shirts stuff like that. And um, then uh, like also like if you give a design, it doesn't size up. They don't size it. You can hear them. So I don't have room for a press. I know that also it's funny, my sister is in the shirt is in the press business, like screen printing business. Um so it's like oh my gosh, am I going in that direction? Because she would be relationship with my sister. It's complicated. Um so if I did that, like oh my gosh, it would be a mess. But we already have beef. Um and what is what is DTF? I feel like I know what that is, um, but yeah, that's where the like stamping comes into play. Where it's like if you create like the stamp, because you can create it out of like a rubber piece of like you can order like a rubber stamp thing, or you can actually get like you can use like an eraser depending on the size. You know they have those like, erasers, and then you carve into them, and then you stamp the negative. I didn't know if that uh, raw vibe of it would be um, would be cool and like yes, this is like a custom piece of art rather than like this is a T-shirt that I got from a website that Ian put on there. I really think you overestimate the room I have. I have a room for almost nothing else in my apartment, but I've seen some very small ones. Um, so let's see. So they have cheap little hand presses to like Cricut. Don't know how good they are for direct to fabric. It's a plastic sheet. Okay, so I saw it's like vinyl. Um, I've seen some of those. I'll look into the price. They are fairly small. Oh my gosh, those are expensive. And I don't have a printer either. I when I use a printer, I go to the library and I don't think you can put paper. Like, I don't think it could be like, hey, here's a put this in. Printing, they print it on a plastic sheet for you to do your okay. So there's like Jiffy.com. Order tomorrow. Okay, that's cute. Okay, that's cool. Definitely great. And that it would be like 1,000 times easier. Do it one layer at a time. Oh, this is so cool. Thank you. Thank you for it. You all are so helpful. So much. All the time. Okay, cool. Oh, geez. Fuck you. Okay, let's see what we do. I feel like maybe something that had to do with Christmas would be fun. Yeah, I'll do a Christmas card or like Christmas. I'm watching this video on how to. So he's like screen printing, but that takes a huge amount of space and it's messy, not good for him. Yeah, my sister literally has a screen printing business, and it's like she with the like huge like rotating like screens that they like scrape and stuff like that. Um, it's okay. Yeah, I like the direct work idea. To me, that's it's consistent. I can make it very easily on hand. And, sorry, I am watching Andrea Nelson on Facebook. She does a lot of cool designs and does a lot of watercolor. Um, that's a cute idea, but I think I like this one the best. We'll get to the point where she does the thing. She's just a crafty person, and I really appreciate that. Little bit. Like, mine might look that good, I promise you. But I think that that is a great card idea, and I'm gonna do. So let's do it. Let me grab my shit. Oh, and let me show you. Yarn. Gotta ink it anyways. Ink it up. Oops. Okay, so this is mine, and the this yellow got a little. I literally just like had a little purple or like blue on my thumb, and got it there. Didn't ruin all of the yellow, but only. Okay, so it looks decent. Not too. So this one's mine, and this is a little less than 100 grams because normally when I get the cones that are 400 grams that I use for the value, um, the cones have like about like the cones weigh a total like 425 grams or something. This one was like barely over 400, so I don't think it fully had the yarn that it promised. So this is mine. Like I said, a little less than 100 there. Pretty though, right? Right. And then these are my gosh, can I put a freaking pink on? One, twist, twist. That green's this green get a lot more blue into it right there. I know I love green too. Every time, like the green is always my favorite. See how it turns. To me, that's the green and the yellow are the sign of like how well. Why are you being how well they I did at not transferring the color, all of the darker colors to the lighter colors. I did not hang up like I needed it. Why are you being like this? Rainbow yarn. This is for There we go. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, that's a good one. Yeah, cool. Okay, let me get my paints. I'm gonna get this one with Okie dokie. Okay, we're starting out by drawing a circle. Finding a circle. Yep, it's probably the worst circle ever drawn by a human. Um, We'll make it look more natural, a naturally occurring wreath. You know, those. Should you use and paint it over all of them? I'm gonna do it because it looks. I want mine to look like this. So, no, I was a mastering bitch. I understand that very much. Oh my gosh, when I did like differential equations and like, it's like for those of you who didn't take differential equations, well, like I guess it could also be in Calc 3 and Diffie-Q. So, so you get to this like level of math where like it's about like the different rates. So you would have to draw. There were a lot of like you have water coming into this vessel at this rate and water coming out at this rate. The question would be around that. And so there'd be a lot of like drawing shapes and like 3D like shapes and like to get an idea of what was happening. And that was like a nightmare for me. Um, it just trying to figure out what the hell type of can't draw anything without. I guess I drew more shapes uh, in Calc 3. Trig was a whole nother thing. That was just it was pain. 3D full drain rate. Yes. The differential equations class. Like that class. My favorite class until I went to 4. And then I went to actuarial classes in Philly. But I liked the statistics classes. I didn't really like the probability. Now switch that up. I didn't like the statistics classes. I like the probability classes. Yeah. And I had this one teacher, and was, he was, I guess he was, I think it was probability one, and he was Russian. He had a really thick accent, and he was also like off the wall, like vain guy, and you just trying to follow what he was talking about was just impossible. And so he would put these crazy questions the on like homework and even tests that were like nothing to do with probability or statistics or anything. And and it he made my life hell. He made my life hell. He was a nice guy, but it was just impossible to follow him because he was just like he was somewhere else the whole time. And so like one time he was like just talking and like trying to follow, take notes and like anything. He would bring in a, you know, those like projectors with those like little sheets that people would use with markers. He would bring in one of those pre-written, and he would go through it in the class, and then he would be scribbling it out as he was going and just mumbling. And be like, "What's going on?" And then like he would do things um, like in the middle, he'd be like, well, you know, Kepler's law, and like he'd like look out at us, and we're all just like dead eyed because we're so confused. I love stats. I used to love stats. Yeah, it took me. It really probably and take in the brain. I don't know how to explain it other than that. To really understand, because the first time you catch them, you're like, what is happening? And then once you get it, everything just clicks and makes so much more sense. Yeah, and but like so he did that one. He was like, "What's?" He was like, "Yeah, Kepler's law," and like Kepler for reference, Kepler's law has, and like we all had no idea what he was talking about. He was like, "How do you expect to pass this class if you don't know what Kepler's law is?" And we're all like looking at each other like, "When did he teach this? Like, we have never heard of this." And like I was like a straight A student, and like I was like, I never heard, and I had it like at that time. Really good like auditory memory. Like if someone said it, I can remember it. It's like he's never mentioned this. No one mentioned this before in my whole life. And apparently he was like he started this whole tangent and like it's a law about like gravitational like pull or something like that. And like turns out that has very little to do with what the hell we were talking about. We spent like 30 minutes talking about this and telling us we were gonna like how could we pass a class if we didn't know a gravitational law. But anyhow, I liked it until I got to really weird math teachers. Good math teachers and bad math teachers make or break Pete's passion for math. I would swear by that, and I believe that we'll kill this number and also. Yeah, there are some, you know, uh, different ways that he taught, you know, things like survivorship bias and stuff that I think if he taught it rather than making it seem like a weird extra question that had nothing to do with the material, it could have actually been really helpful. But instead, he didn't. He was so limited. Um, but like he was like question on there, and sometimes the question was actually random, like it had nothing to do with that, and sometimes it had to do with statistics. So it was like, oh, they uh, they like talking about World War II pilots from the war, and they wanted to see where there were vulnerabilities in planes. So every plane that came back, they looked where the planes had the most bullet holes in them and reinforced them. Why didn't this work as a tactic? And it's because of survivorship bias. You're only looking at the planes that survived getting shot there. So it was so you, you don't get an accurate picture of what is taking a plane down. And if you can take a lot of holes there, then that's actually a place that's probably pretty fine. So things like that. But he never talked about, oh, this is how it's actually helpful. It's like the ramblings of a crazy person. That's why when people tell you things about like buying raw milk, survivorship bias, important to know. But I digress. It was definitely the weirdest class I ever took, just because he was weird, and I truly it was just every day was a struggle just to just understand where he was coming from. Yeah, some math teacher can really kill people's minds. Absolutely, absolutely, and I think that um, that's a big thing. And then I think also, um, and I don't blame parents who don't understand what their kids are learning at all. Um, but I think so tutoring so many parents would be tutoring so many parents would be like, I hate math. Go tutor my kid math. And I was like, like you're allowed to not like subject. You're allowed to not be good at it. Like, we're not all good at things. Like, that's fine. I was like, but like every time you say like math is stupid and useless, like kids hearing you and tuning out more and more to me. I didn't say this to them, but like it was always something in my head. Okay, so this layer one. Oh, I did do the background. Huh. Well, this looks good. Shit. Motherfucker. Yeah, the dude sound was really weird. So tuning out completely. Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. I didn't have the choice to tune out, but man, I really tried. I mean, it was so much effort. It was so much effort. Luckily, my best friend was also in that class, and so we would like we both get 50% of the information. Try to and just try to create one person who knew what was going on. Kepler's law for the for all of my days, I'll never forget just the experience of learning Kepler's law. Do I know what it is? Clearly not, but okay, I'm gonna make a mess, but astronomy teacher. Yeah, I don't think there's anything that like, could really help me prepare for those. I just like I found people who had been in the class before, and I was like, "How did you pass this class?" And like, "What did you study?" And like, so it was like, it'd be like 50% of the homework, and homework was so hard because we didn't know how to do it because he hadn't taught us how to do it. And then it was like random questions and we get extra credit for. He was tenured, so he clearly has stopped caring. Okay, this looks really bad. This was looking so cute, and I had to go put a background in it. I feel like I'm like painting on the back of it. Oh, are you looking it up? Like It has nothing to do with it. I think he might. I think he might have been talking about like probability that there were aliens out there. I kid you not. And something it was, and then there was like Kepler talking about like gravity or something, and University of Maryland. I think I what it was about. See, if you were talking about Kepler's law in astronomy, I feel like that's a lot more appropriate. So the fact that you didn't know that makes me feel better. Okay, I painted the background. I got smudges everywhere, but I'm hoping that I can make it look artsy. If not, it's just let me see if I can unlock Kepler's. It's gonna give me a formula. I'm not gonna know what to do with that. Okay, so Kep, Kepler has multiple laws. So the first law is that planets orbit in ellipses with the sun at one focus. Let me know when this seems like it's applicable to the probability statistics course. The second law is the second. Planets seek out mul- planets out equal areas in equal times. Oh, okay. Like they move along. Okay, I get that. Um, the third law, P, period of time for one cycle. Okay, then there's just like a formula. The square orbital period is proportional to the cube of the semi axis. Planetary motion. How was I going to pass probability and statistics if I didn't know the three laws of planetary motion according to Kepler? I passed it. Prove motherfucking around. So Kepler's Law. Ugh, it will haunt me forever. Like my friend from school, Pallavi, I bet like it was like that was such a moment in all of our minds that I bet like so like I graduated in December of 2016. Oh my god, that's almost 10 years ago. Holy fuck. I could call her now and I could say Kepler's Law, like that's it. And like we can both just laugh for that's how significant it was. Wondering. Okay, so we're back on a track, whether as good as it was before. It's just now she has colored pencils, and I do not. I have pink markers, so it's essential to life. Exactly. I mean, technically, Kepler's laws are essential to life, but not essential to passing the that class for sure. Okay, so putting the colors on there, I feel like the darker green made a difference. And then once I added the lighter greens, the two lighter greens kind of look too similar. So we go back in with this darker one. Yeah, I mean, he's I don't know me. I mean, yeah, like, he was an experience. I don't remember what his name was, but like if I saw it, like was it Sonin? I think not that you all care need to know, but it mattered to my memory sake. He was a experience. Okay, so little thing, just learned to sound impressive. He was a very smart guy, but a not great teacher. And like there are a lot of those, like people very smart, very skilled, and they quit their job to do research, um, which I think that was the case, and he just could not teach to save his life. Or maybe that's how he learned, that's how he thought worked, but it really didn't. But he was tenured and nobody could do nothing. And it wasn't like he wasn't trying. It was like he was trying, but his language was not like I'm not talking about Russian. I'm talking about his language of like his brain did not make sense to anybody else. Okay, so I think I need to let this dry before I can do the on it. Really don't like the background color. I really am beefing with it hard. Honestly, I think drugs might have helped. Drugs might have helped. There were plenty of people in that class who were doing drugs who would have been helped by yeah, caring, and then also being able to communicate things in a bunch of different ways if that person can't understand what you're teaching. But if I say, if you teach something in this way and I can't understand it, and I tell you I can't understand it, and you just try to teach me in the same way over and over again, well, that's not being a good teacher. It's being a good repeater. It's being someone who knows something, in a very, you know, one-dimensional way. Which you can be really smart and know things in a very one-dimensional way. But he should have followed his dreams and pursued a profession in anything else. And teaching was his dream. Yeah, dictators. Yeah, that's a sign. That's a sign. Okay, I redid the background to make it a little bit more pink. Yeah. Although I suck at typing pretty much any way you put it, so I'll finish this video so I can see how she. Oh, she filled in a lot less than I did. Oops. Should I make it say something on the front? Sure. I'll just do like a Merry Christmas. I should practice my first. Hey, Winter, welcome in. I don't have great handwriting. I'll be the first person to admit that. So I'm gonna do. Okay. So we got these done. Working on the card. Gotta let that dry. The necker. I really have been liking drawing and watercolor as like fast crafts, like stuff that I can get done in a really short amount of time. Um, because I just it feels nice to be able to just like pump out like a nice little project. Um, Still not that great watercolor by any means, so, but it's been fun. It's been fun doing it and watching like videos and stuff of other people um, doing little crafts and like kind of walking people through it has been really fun. Try it. I can't even let watercolor dry, which is like literally. I have problems, but once if you're wondering what my shirt is, but I feel it. This is honestly one of my favorite shirts. It's definitely these, but um, this is my shirt. This is a shirt. It references an episode of the original series called Mirror Mirror, which is without dispute. In my, I'm not going to dispute it because it's my opinion and it's right. That this is the original series, and uh, even if you don't know the original series that well, like you've probably seen like memes and pictures of like this episode, because they go into a mirror universe, and all kinds of crazy things happen where they meet a version of themselves that is different, to say the least. So here you have Spock meeting Mirror Universe Spock, who has facial hair, super hot, and yeah. So, uh, and if you know anything about some of my favorite Star Trek arcs are Mirror Universe and like alternate universe arcs. I think that they are so fun. Um, and I don't want to spoil anything for anybody who may watch something that I would spoil if I said other things. But yeah, it's always those are always my favorite Star Trek themes because they all like Star Trek go all within your universe, and I really appreciate that. It's not just like, oh, here's the universe where like one person's different. Here's a mirror universe where like everybody and everything is so different in every single way, and it just creates for the most amazing conflict. Um, so, like, if you've seen the episode where like Sulu, like George Takei, is like shirtless and he's fencing, that would be Mirror Mirror. So, seeing worthy. So, what is everyone up to right now? I feel like we've been on for like, oh god, almost 3 hours. But yeah, right now. So I saw that um, Abraham Quintanilla, Selena's dad, passed today, yesterday. Um, so that's sad, but obviously, reunited with his daughter. Now, the only people that might potentially try to uh, dispute the supreme, uh, like the number one spot, Mirror Mirror might try to tell you that Trouble with Tribbles is better, and it's not true. Tribbles are really cute, and so they get the cute vote, and it's a cheap shot as to why that episode is good. That's all I'm saying. Yes, they're cute. Yes, they're adorable. Yes, they multiply, and but and that's very cute. I will get so I'm not taking that away from them. But as for like interest and hot stock, that's what I have to say about that. Editing third video. Oh my gosh, what you are a beast. Yes, the original has some great stories. Absolutely, absolutely. Um, yeah, I mean, I can see like there's definitely like reoccurring themes. Like they go onto a planet. The planet has like a ruling class or like ruling people that like make make Kirk and landing party do something ridiculous, and then fix their way out of it, trick their way out of it, and then back. So there's like, definitely that recurring theme. Um, uh, you know, but and I think that that is part of what um, I really like for me, like I think Discovery. 'Cause there's a couple Star Treks that I haven't watched a lot of or any of, um, and so really like what I've watched the most is the original series and Next Gen. And so when I started watching Discovery, Discovery was the first, and I watched a fair amount of Deep Space because I love Cisco. I didn't watch Voyager. I didn't watch was on the guy. I don't know, which I know is so specific. The one with the guy, um, but I like for me, Discovery was the first fully fledged um, like uh, show with a storyline every single episode, whereas like the, the Star Trek that I was used to was episodic. So like it didn't matter if you missed last week's or the episode before, whatever. Like, you could you could still put together what was happening. So I really like a non-episodic Star Trek because it just gives so much more potential for storylines. Um, and nature of what it was, especially if you think about how people consumed TV shows, if you will. Wow. You're so you're such a better YouTuber than you are. It's not even funny, but, not that it's a contest, but if it were a contest, you would be winning, if that makes you feel any better. The stuff with the guy and they did the thing. You know what, Chris? Fuck you. Just kidding, just kidding, just kidding. Did the blonde was he blonde? Wasn't it blonde guy? I feel like I know his name, but I don't say the wrong thing. Star Trek series. Original series. Enterprise. Never watched that. Scott Bakula. Okay, I was gonna say Scott Bakula, but I felt like it was gonna be wrong. So I was like, I've never watched it, so I was like, I just don't be wrong. But yeah, so I didn't watch Voyager. What was that? I totally forgot. Like immediately, Enterprise, right? Enterprise. I haven't seen Strange New Worlds yet. I haven't seen Section 31. Oh, Scotty, did you see the picture of you? Do you like it? Do you feel like that looks like you? With like the mange? You snapped directly onto like the one. You hooligan. Come on. There's a whole little road right here for you to walk, and you had to walk off. Step back. Mm-hmm. On the one with the stainless steel Enterprise, watch a few episodes. I mean, like, also, like, if like you just think about like the timeline of like when they came. I mean, Enterprise come right after Voyager. I just feel like there was like a lot of, which I think that they borderline could be getting to now, where it's like Star Trek fatigue. Of like, just like there's too much out right now. It's like where do you start? Where do you like go? Um, and so I feel like for me, like that's like the big thing. And then there's Picard. There's the Orville, which I know is not Star Trek. Do not just. I know that that's not Star Trek, but it's Star Trek themed. Just like Galaxy Quest is. I've heard the Orville is actually really good though. Let me grab back Lost in Space. This is just like people also watch. I watched like 4 or 5 episodes of it. It was just really dense for me. It had no levity. It had no and Picard like was my captain. Truly, I don't know who the captain is right now, but like I grew up watching Next Gen, um, and I know those characters. I love those characters. Um, I love Riker. I like those are who I grew up with, but it just was so freaking dense, like ugh, like it just was not. It just had none of the sparkling light just need to kind of get through it. Okay, I'm glad I wasn't the only one. Let's see. Cats and their shenanigans. Could a lot of love in the comments. Oh, I need to reread the comments. I didn't want to keep like reading them like total narcissist. Um, I like the look of Picard, but never got to see it because of behind Paramount subscription. Never get to see it if it wasn't any good. Yeah, for me, like I only have Paramount Plus, and I love Star Trek, but like I just can't afford all of the subscriptions. But because I have Walmart Plus, you get Paramount Plus with that for free. So that's been a big, huge bonus. Like boner, like yeah, liked Orville, Babylon. I never watched that. I never watched. I remember in my memory banks watching Stargate, Stargate SG-1, and when my local, like when I was in North Carolina, when my local um, uh, Blockbuster went out of business, I bought all the seasons. I got like a box set of all the seasons for like $8, but I never watched it. I mean, I'm a Wrath of Khan guy, but Galaxy Quest is a great, great Star Trek movie. It's so good. Picard was heavy. Screen and Sun. Hey, Bridget. Thanks for hanging out. Yeah, it really trying to be like Star Trek. I felt, and I just yeah. I remember it's in there somewhere. I just don't remember shit about it. Oh, you'll send me the thing. Don't worry. I mean, I'll go check into you next review in the watch time. I was just thinking about like the second episode of Next Generation, like season one, episode 2 or something, because they redid the Naked Time. Naked Time is another really good episode, but I don't feel like it's yeah. But when they what I just keep thinking about like I try to find a clip of if you've seen it recently or like or you remember this specifically, you know what I mean. But um, I hadn't seen it. I started from the beginning a long time, and then like a couple years ago we started it over and was like, oh god, this is awkward. It's called Naked Time 2 or something. This is Data and Yar, you know. I'm gonna rather best yes as a sequel, and then obviously Search for Spock is good. I mean, let me. Just pay attention. Okay, so they're infected, right?
A cure, some formula. Similar to the old.
I don't even know how that fucking sound lives rent free in my head. Oh my lord. Oh jeez. That and Kepler's Law. I can't fucking win. Oh god. Oh god. I thought we had already reached 3 hours. Is it was did I only say that like 2 minutes ago or something? I don't know. I'm like, what is happening? Let me finish this painting and then I think we'll head out. Although I could talk about Star Trek in the episodes. This one piece doesn't want to dry. That sound. There's Law once again. I mean, he was right, I guess. That's right. Like we can all agree that like the greatness that we're making, you know. Hey China, welcome in. Michael, your franchise. Yeah, I mean, for me, I don't know how you can compare them at all. They're totally different. You know, you have a Voyager style comm badge tattoo. Oh, that's so cool. Um, yeah, like what people are like, oh, more of a Star Trek. I'm like, that's cool. Like, first of all, like, like, and this is not me. This I'll spend like 2 seconds on Star Trek because I mean Star Wars because um, it's always done in reverse. But they're just totally different. But every single movie of Star Wars is like of like the main trilogies, right? Like they undo so much of what was done before them. And then like there's like people barking like that's not canon about every single thing. It doesn't matter before. It doesn't matter about it. But then like they legitimately rewrite the storyline like all the time. And there's so much Star Wars content out there, and it's really cool. And I really I think it's a cool franchise, but it's definitely um, I think one person rated it like this to me before, where it's like Star Wars is what we are, and Star Trek is what we want to be. If you think about like the the Federation and how we want to be this people, um, of acceptance and knowledge, exploration, and looking to the stars and having hope and all this stuff. Um, yeah, yeah, definitely. And what's crazy is what Star Trek Star Trek is sci-fi, but the science that they put in Star Trek, a lot of it like became the science of today. And you look at like, wireless communications and all of that stuff. It's like that was really what like the way you know, like it was possible then. It was science fiction, but it was something that we try to do now. I thought, yeah, yeah, and I really do love both, and I love them both in very different ways. You know, there like a is there a through line through all of the movies that doesn't have huge plot holes? I don't like not to my knowledge. Um, but I mean, it's really cool that the universe that they made with the Sith Lords and all of that stuff, I'd like to know more about. I've heard the books are really good. I know the video games are good. It's a totally different. You can't compare the two. Original theories broke so many boundaries. Absolutely, absolutely, Chris. I will. Yeah, the first interracial kiss. Um, and talking about Uhura and just her just impact on it, and talking about George Takei's um, presence, um, and you know there were so many different aspects of Star Trek that are and they didn't just stop at the original series. I think I mentioned like I think I remember like I distinctly remember a commercial in the '90s when the Next Generation was on. It was like the entire cast, and they were kind of like in character, but they were talking about HIV. Like they didn't stop being progressive. Like like they never were progressive because it was cool. Like they fought against um, like the network to show things that that kind of fought the status quo, and like Star Trek is bad. Like to think that it's only for geeks, well, like maybe it is, but geeks fucking know what's going on. Mhm. Yes, absolutely, absolutely, and it's beautiful. Storylines are beautiful. Um, mhm, yeah, and I think that there were a lot of things. I and this I might lose some of y'all, but when I think I just had this thought in comparison. When I think about your average DC comic character versus your average Marvel character, um, like the dimension that DC comics tend to have for me is a lot more dense. It's a lot more multifaceted to me than when I get a Marvel character. They tend to be a little bit more straightforward, and that's kind of what I feel like with Star Trek versus Star Wars, whereas like you get these really complex and like really evolved characters with Star Trek, and with Star Wars, like it's really straightforward. Like if you look at like Luke Skywalker, or if you look at like any of the characters' like motives, like they're pretty freaking straightforward. They're not doing anything that's like really doing something that's like you really have to think too hard about what they're doing. And um, I mean, Scotty is. I've had three pets after. So I feel like while I like the you know they make fun movies and stuff like that, it's not you don't have to think too hard about what they're doing. Whereas like what goes on inside of Kirk's head, what goes on inside Spock's head, those emotions that Spock experiences are so deep, multifaceted, and and everyone thinks it's so easy for him. It's actually really tough for him, and how he has this internal all those things. I feel like those are really complicated, um, and and why some people might, you know, because it's not spoon fed to you. Sorry, you know. I don't know. I know I don't have to apologize to anyone here, but feel like I need. So I have like white and red in there. I feel like maybe I need one more color of like berries in there. Oh, I'm gonna have gold on. Oh, I was thinking of doing gold writing, but I suck at writing, so like, I'm just gonna put gold in it. I like how I positioned it like I was gonna ask, and then I was like, never mind. Exactly, exactly. Yeah, way ahead of their time. I mean, they Star Trek is just insane. I am a I am 100% agreeing with you, Michael. Truly visionary. Yeah, I always say if you haven't seen the Drunk History, even if you know this information, I just like how they put it together. It's funny. The Drunk History Star Trek um, uh, videos or like skits that they have because they did the one about Martin Luther King convincing Michelle Nichols to stay. Um, uh, the show. They have the first interracial kiss, and well, I know they have this more, but still, interesting and funny to put them together. Um, but just, I mean, really, just incredible show, and like I said, if that's who we want to be. It's just yeah. They don't stop. Like it's not like they don't rest on their laurels either. They're not like, okay, well we're progressive when we started, so like we're gonna just like we should still get like a trophy for it. Like no, they're like always pushing for different things, and that's I mean I think that like I mean that's an incredible. I mean if you think about like the most recent trilogy that Star Wars had and the representation that they had and the backlash from the fans, and it's like you're like almost 6 decades too late, for like compared to what kind of representation was on Star Trek. I guess it's closer to 5 decades, but like, it's like we were like super late. Like we've been about that representation from the beginning, and we still are constantly pushing for representation, um, and more like in both people on screen and in the stories that we hear. So, okay, I'm gonna put a gold bow on it. I think maybe a red. Maybe I'll do red and gold. Should I do it at the top and it comes in the middle, or at the bottom? I'm not really loving how it looks, being honest. It doesn't look that bad, but it doesn't look that great. Yeah, we have a lot to thank Star Trek for, and not me, people saying it was woke. Oh, I don't I see. I didn't hear that people said that about Picard. Interesting. Oh, Star Trek. Yeah, people liked it. I've always kind of thought it was just very, um, well, at first I thought it was very strange, and now I just think it's very ignorant and stupid when people use woke like it's an insult. Like you are aware and like cognizant of like people and how to not be a shitty person. Like just the basis form of like what woke is. But like it's like Star Trek, like to be progressive, right? Like, 'cause that's kind of basically what it is. It's like you really like people are being progressive, and you're like you don't like Star Trek because it's being progressive. No, it's people are dumb. That's what I have to say about that. People are dumb. Bow, 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 bow. I feel like I have to space at the bottom. Makes sense. Your thing is fucking above your head. Yeah, because that's not at all why we're here, which we are now, right? Well, I don't really want to share my fandom with you, anyways. If you're gonna be just like a little baby bad bitch about shit like that, you don't deserve the amazingness of Star Trek and be like that. And also, you are totally against everything that Star Trek is about. I'm so thankful that you came in and talked to us about Star Trek. Though I love you more for it. I love you more for it. I feel like that probably really shitty. It does. Yep. Also, I was gonna try to maybe put like a gold outline on it or something. That might help. did get better with the gold, like all things. Also, the bow is off center, but I, you know, turn it a little bit like this, and it's fine. See, it's fine. Yeah, it's off center. Whatever. Oopsies. Um, yeah. If I wrote Merry Christmas, maybe it would take you in like a diagonal, asymmetrical way. Maybe it would be like less noticeable. But I'm so bad at writing. My pen exactly like that. So I think I'm gonna let that be. I think the more I touch it, the worse it's gonna get. We kind of reached the. So everything else will be a downgrade. Um, but yes, yeah. So I'm gonna keep on working on Packer. And thank you for hanging out with me. I'm gonna go watch Discovery. And has have you all seen Discovery? Because I can watch it in Discord. We can all watch it. We can we can, we can watch it. I'll be in Discord and I will be watching Discovery. Don't feel obligated to come watch Discovery with me if you don't want to, but just so you know, it is. So yeah, I'm gonna go in there and do that. Also, I'm not watching it from the beginning. I'm like 4 to 6 episodes into season 2. So you will have missed a lot. You don't have seen season 1, but or I could just put on like I could put on Wrath of Khan for some um for some Ricardo Montalban. Really have to go to bed. I understand. Yeah, it's late everywhere, isn't it? Um, yeah. I about Star Trek. I haven't seen the first movie in a long time. The original series. I haven't seen Star Trek the motion picture in a long time. I'm gonna do that instead. So if you'd like to watch that in Discord with me, you can. But if you don't want to, then obviously no obligation. So maybe I'll see you there, maybe I won't. But thank you so much for hanging out, talking about Star Trek, which is so good. Star Trek is so good. It just like it makes me so happy to have friends to talk about Star Trek with, because it's such a um, it's like you, it's a great way to connect with people because there's so many things to talk about with it. And I feel like it says a lot about people, not that people who don't watch Star Trek aren't. Like that's obviously not what I'm saying. Uh, there's something that there's some personality traits that are common when you talk to people who like Star Trek, and I find all of those personality traits very likable. If that makes sense. And so it's really nice to be able to talk to you all about Star Trek. It's so nice. And I literally don't know what to say and I keep on saying it's so nice. But yeah, so we'll talk to you in Discord or on the YouTube or somewhere. I hope you'll talk to you later.